Right.
Okay.
Tanner wants to say hi too.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Say hi.
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 Christy, where's Georgia? We're saying hi to all the kids.
She's out front playing because it's nice. She's enjoying some sunshine. So she's playing with her brothers and the doggies. But yeah, she's missing out on the kid call.
What happened to your eye? Did I miss out on that?
Black eye?
Yes, I have a black eye. I was doing jiu-jitsu, which is I roll 2 times a week, and I just caught somebody else's head right in my face.
That's a cool way to get a black eye, though.
Yeah, so it started out here like a big lump, and now it's like migrated. But
Yes.
of all the like jiu-jitsu injuries that I've had, this one hurts the least. This one it just looks goofy. All right, guys. Well, we'll give everybody like 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Lauren, I don't know what you're wearing, but I love it. It looks like a leopard print top.
Athletics.
Love it. It's so cute.
Thanks.
Oh, Amy brought her baby. All right, guys, let's get right to it. So happy Sunday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. It's finally like decent weather here in Washington. So wherever you are in the country or in the world, because we even have some people who are far, far, far away. I hope that you got some outside time, and springtime is perfect for that. And so just wanted to encourage you, take advantage of the fresh air. It is good for you. It is a good stress moderator. It is all of those things. But we're not actually going to talk about getting outside today. Our topic for the week is actually going to be the Fitme plate. And a bunch of us are going to play a little challenge coming up in the next 10 days. But I thought I would give you a little bit of a background because we have this thing, this Fitme plate. We use it as a tool. Most of you, when you first start, you shoot to get 100 plates. If you haven't yet, that's like a milestone we want to hit. But I want to explain why. We've kind of dive into each of the things these past few weeks. Like we talked about movement, we talked about sugar, and we've talked about protein. We've talked about these basics, but we haven't talked about the Fitme plate. So when I first started starting the nutrition coaching, so I say nutrition coaching with quotes because before that I was a personal trainer, and then I was a CrossFit coach and a weightlifting coach, and I was doing all of that stuff. But my very first step into nutrition coaching was macro coaching. So I learned how to calculate macros for someone and utilize that as a tool to help someone with their macros. And so when someone signed up to work with me, I gave them a macro prescription. I would calculate what they would need, and I would give them a spreadsheet with macros on it. And that was the primary thing that I gave them. And we've talked about macros before. It's a tool. It's not bad or good. It is what it is. It's helpful for some people. It's not helpful for others. But that was the primary tool that I knew. Well, I mostly looked at, did someone hit their macros? Did they hit their targets? And that's how I would figure out how to help them with their like weight loss goal or their habits goals or whatever. But it wasn't really habits goals. We were just focused on weight loss using macros. But sometimes habits would come up. It would be like a sneak attack. I would like ask them, I wonder what's happening here. You haven't seen much change. And then I would kind of try to troubleshoot these habits. Well, what I found was that when I would like lift the hood and look underneath, a lot of times there was no foundation of habits. It was mix and match numbers of foods that they were already eating. So the ones that had led to them not feeling good in their body, but then changing the portions or mix and matching them to hit the macro targets. Listen, I'm not labeling that bad or good. Okay. I'm just saying that's what was happening when I like lifted the hood. Okay. So then what would happen is I'd have to have a conversation about how do we eat healthy plates? How do we improve the quality of our food? So I would kind of weave that into coaching conversations, but nothing was actually changing about their lifestyle. It was kind of like, I'm not going to say a gimmick, but in some ways it was just a temporary fix. It was, let me mix and match these numbers, and then I can feel like I'm losing weight, which they would, but inevitably vacation would come up. What do I eat? And I'm like, just enjoy vacay and come back and we'll get right back to it, right? Well, when you don't have a basis of habits, that means a lot different than it does for you guys. When they would have something come up and maybe a family crisis, and they're like, I didn't track this week. And I'm like, it's okay, don't worry about it. Like, we'll get right back to it. But they didn't know what to do. They were just kind of, eating back their old stuff, but just not tracking it anymore. So then I found, man, people actually aren't learning how to eat healthy food. It's backwards. And I realized that there is such a simple way to approach healthy eating, but no one had ever explained it to me before this way. But it was something I had observed. It was one of the swaps that I had realized that before, when I was kind of stuck in the diet roller coaster, there was a certain way that I was eating. And then once I got over that hump and had settled into a healthy lifestyle, I was eating completely differently. And it didn't have anything to do with tracking macros or the number of calories or the kinds of carbs. It actually had more to do with how I built a plate. It had become intuitive. And so then I started teaching that to people. And when we very first started with Fitme, I actually called it 1, 2, 3 Fitme recipe. It was like a little ditty I made up in my head. 1, 2, 3 Fitme recipe. That's how you build a healthy plate. And it was like the default. And it became a game last summer because a couple of people inside Fitme were like, what do I focus on this summer? And, what can I do? And I'm like, well, why don't you focus on getting a Fitme plate? And that's how the challenge came about of hitting Fitme plates. But here's the deal. Fitme plate isn't religion, okay? This isn't the only way to eat healthy. This is just a tool, just like any other tool. But I like this one because it's simple and it's easy to remember, and it gives you a lot of clarity. And so I want to review what it is, and then again, talk about how it works towards your goals. So first off, a Fitme plate starts with a protein source. And we're going to do that. This is a general rule, but like any protein source. So we're talking about steak, chicken, fish, you name it, right? That's a protein source, and we're going as unprocessed as possible. So about the size of your palm, not hand, palm. That is an eyeball way of saying, what's my protein portion size? Right there. That comes first. And this actually goes in order. Next, you're going to go with veggies. And I'm thinking green veggies, like the non-starchy ones, any ones you like, and you want to fill up half your plate with veggies. So it could be salad, it could be asparagus, it could be broccoli, it could be a mixture of stuff, whatever you like. That goes next. Then you're going to do a quality carb source from the ground. So examples are like roasted starchy vegetables. You can go with potatoes, sweet potatoes. If it's a breakfast, you might want a fruit. You could do oats, you could do rice. So we're going as unprocessed as possible for the challenge. About the size of a tennis ball. I'm going to tell you right now, when I eat Chinese food, there's no universe that the amount of rice that I eat is about the size of a tennis ball. It is like the size of my head. And then I put all the stuff on top. So going with the size of a tennis ball is like a distinct difference for a portion of carbs. And then a healthy fat. So there's lots of examples of healthy fats. If you guys don't have the guide, then I'm going to send it to you. But we're looking for about a thumb size. That is a tablespoon of healthy fat. That's like your ballpark. So if you think about how, again, left to your own devices, how much peanut butter you would eat, and peanut butter is a fat, in no universe is it usually the size of my thumb. It's like 3 scoopfuls, right? So again, like this is like a big pat of butter. This is a tablespoon of olive oil. This is like a good serving of dressing. And again, these are just ballparks. And why do we want ballparks? Does that make some of you guys have your skin crawl? Yes, I'm fine with that. Here's why. I know you want me to tell you exactly what you can and can't have. And I know you want me to tell you exactly how much you can and can't have. But using this ballpark tool gets you really darn close. But there's an advantage to practicing this at home. Why bother, right? Like you could essentially get to your goals without this and do some other stuff, right? Here's why. When you go out to a restaurant and you are still wanting to choose something that keeps you on track, this works. You can eyeball create this at almost any restaurant. If you will go on vacation and you're like, I'm not even worried about breakfast. I just want to stay on track for breakfast. I'm excited about, dinner. We're going out for Italian or whatever. You can make this at breakfast. You can get some eggs, a bunch of veggies, a side of potatoes. Boom, you're done. Like, it is that easy to put together in all these different situations. And so then it gives you freedom instead of being like strapped to worrying about like, does it fit some exact thing? You can eyeball this. Now, again, I know this makes a lot of people's skin crawl, but when they're like, well, what about blah, 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 fill in the blank. What about sausage? Okay. Chicken sausage, right? Chicken sausage is not a perfect protein source. It's kind of processed. Is that a bad choice? Absolutely not. It's fine. If that's what you put together. I mean, I use that as a protein sometimes at my house. That's fine. That's great. That still fits into like the tool of a Fitme plate. Would I count it towards my challenge? Probably not, because I want to go as close as I can to awesome for my challenge. So do you see the difference? Like what you count for your challenge, like if you're going for your 100 plates or if you're going to play with us for the next 10 days, really give yourself a challenge. Like, is a tortilla a bad choice? No, that's fine. And if you're ballparking it with a Fitme plate, that's kind of the same, right? We're not going to like split hairs over it, but is it like the intention of the challenge? Probably not, right? You could go for an even more nutrient dense thing and get some roasted veggies, and then you're really crushing the challenge. So I know this like flies in the face of like everything else that's out there because they tell you like very strict, and it's a very matter of fact, but this is a tool. And if you're with Fitme, like for more than, I don't know, let's say your first 12 weeks, that first foundation 12 weeks, we really encourage you to try to hit 100 plates in that first 12 weeks. And that sounds like a lot, but if you focus on just 10 at a time, hey, I can hit 1 plate a day, then you're moving in that direction. We've had people who struggle with all the other things, but just focus on Fitme plates and see big success. Now, how does this apply to you? Like, can you adjust it? Yeah. If you are a postpartum mom, so you're like a nursing mom, you might need more serving size, right? You might need 2 thumbs of fat. You might need a little bit extra protein. You might need, and that's okay. But this is, again, it's just a tool. But with skipping this tool, what happens is we get close. We're like, okay, well, I'm supposed to eat protein. So I cooked a bunch of chickens in my fridge. And then like Monday rolls around and we're real busy and we eat a plain cold chicken breast. And then we wonder why we're not satisfied, why we're still hungry in an hour, why like we didn't like it. It's because when we take the time, so it's not just the components, but putting it on a plate and eating it together. One, it creates a balanced meal. So like a blood sugar balance. So if you talk about like what happens in our body when we store body fat, it actually has to do with our insulin and fat storage. When we eat a balanced meal that has protein, fat, and carbs, we're creating balance for our blood sugar. So when we eat them all together, something different happens. But also when we put all these foods on a plate, something different happens in our mind. We've eaten something. We feel satisfied. You've now put fiber in your body. You've put, quality nutrition. You probably drank some water. Why? Because you put it on a plate and you like made it a meal rather than just like stuffing something in real quick on your way to the next thing. And so there's 2 components to this. Not only is it great for our body, but it's great for our mind. And it really does make a difference because once you've eaten like that, well, yeah, you're way less likely to snack on nonsense in the afternoon. Your sugar cravings are going to go down. You're going to have more fiber. So your digestive system is going to increase. You're going to have more micronutrients in your body. So your overall health is going to improve. All of these things go together with this sort of like basic tool of a Fitme plate. So the challenge that we're playing for the next 10 days, because I think everybody's like ready for like a little, like, I can't use the word challenge again, but yes, a something challenging is that for the next 10 days, we're focused on this Fitme plate and movement. And so getting either 1, 2, or 3 Fitme plates a day, depending on what is challenging for you. So if you are brand new and you're like, that sounds like 1 a day for me, you're going to focus on 1 a day and getting movement or workout in every day. If you've been doing 1 a day for a while, it's time to step it up, 2 a day. If you've been at 2 a day for a while, then the real challenge for you is going 3 a day. And the best thing about doing anything like this is ultimately you are your own experiment. You are N equals 1. So if you do anything for 10 days, you got to pay attention to what this feels like. So if you're going to bother playing this game, which is a fun game, it's a good challenge, and hopefully it does, push some of you guys past plateaus or speed up weight loss, all that good stuff. But also pay attention to how you feel. Like, how do you feel in the afternoons after you ate a Fitme plate for lunch? Do you feel the same? Do you feel more hungry? Do you feel less hungry? What did you have to do to create it? Pay attention to that. Well, this wasn't too hard, but if I didn't have this in my fridge, this wouldn't have happened. And so you can kind of learn a lot over this next 10 days too, because you can see what this is actually like for your days. So it's not just autopilot. I think that's it. A couple of people had questions about movement and workout, what counts. Again, it's very individual to you. The workout part is designed, if you're sweating, that's a workout. So you would check that box. Movement is designed to be what is best for you. So if you go for a mile walk, that might be movement for you. If you walk a mile every day, well, you might need to be a little bit more intentional about your movement to check that box and make sure you get a little further. If you are just recovering from something, it might just be doing a very gentle yoga session on your floor. Totally counts. It's just about being intentional and moving your body. Everybody hates Christy Campbell for not giving strict rules. All right, so let's spend, the next couple of minutes chatting about this. I would love to know your questions about this, either as a tool, as a challenge for the next 10 days, if you've used it, how it's helped or been like enlightening for you. If you have questions, if you're like, I'm doing it, but I don't know how to adjust it, ask the question, because I'm sure someone else has that question too. Angie.
So I know, all right, so what about like condiments? Because I know a lot of them have sugar and things in them. And I tend not to use them a whole lot anyway, but like, if you put a teaspoon of taco sauce on your taco, does that then not count as a Fitme plate?
No, it counts.
Okay.
To me, it's irrelevant. To me, that's irrelevant. That kind of stuff, it's okay. If you have food digestive issues, or if you are like trying to eliminate stuff because you've got autoimmune, it might be worth it to take those out. But if you're A-okay, I like flavor. So yeah, make healthy food taste good in my book. Now, is sour cream a condiment? No, that's a fat. So treat it like that. That's like a portion size, right? As opposed to having like all over like ketchup or something. Good, really good question. Seasoning it, I actually glad you brought that up, Angie, because I didn't talk about that. Seasoning it is the name of the game. If you're like, I don't know how to cook things that taste good, guess what? This is a perfect chance to learn. Using this very simple tool where you don't have a complicated recipe is going to teach you how to make, meat taste good and veggies taste good. We all know how to make fat and carbs taste good. Nobody needs help with that. We are good at that part, but it's the protein and the veggies that we need to like work on. So this is a good one. If you're like, I don't even know how to cook veggies that taste good, we'll put some tutorials in the Facebook group. Your coaches love to show you how to do that kind of stuff. And so that would be perfect for this week. Don't be afraid to ask. And if you are a seasoning ninja, then share your magic.
So with salad dressing, that's considered a fat, not a condiment.
Yeah. And you could flip it over and see, most of the time they're oil based. And so that's going to be like a healthy fat.
Salsa is a great salad dressing, just saying.
Yep.
Like a nice salsa that doesn't have a bunch of sugar or anything in it.
Yeah, and salsa is probably net neutral. I would consider that a condiment because it's
Where
really
does cheese fit in this? Like, is cheese considered a healthy fat? Or is it's not even part of it? Like,
yeah, cheese can be a healthy fat. Cheese can be a healthy fat for sure. Dairy is a good source of fat for most people. If you don't tolerate dairy well, I wouldn't include it, but like for sure.
things like yogurt, cottage cheese, because I've used cottage cheese as a salad dressing too, because it's just kind of wet enough. But then
So I'd flip it over and look, because not all dairy is the same, right? Like some dairy's full fat dairy, like sour cream is going to be like a good source of fat. Whereas like some other dairy might be a really good source of protein. It might not have any fat at all. So like you might have, Greek yogurt or something that's like a protein. So dairy is kind of like a good question. It can go either way. You should flip it over and look.
I was going to say too that some of the hard cheeses, like the hard Parmesan and harder Romanos and things, tend to have more protein and less fat in them. So I feel I can get away with a little bit more of that because it has a higher protein content and less fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like those hard cheeses. I mean, here's the thing too.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Quick
Go
question.
first.
You mentioned the thumbnail or the thumb size for fat. Does that apply for avocado? Because I usually eat about half an avocado and I use that in my salad to limit the amount of salad dressing that I use. So, and avocado is one of those things that unless there's a chip that I don't know about, it goes bad quickly. So I usually have a half an avocado in each of my 2 Fitme plates per day. So is there any guidance on that or leeway on that size portion?
So the portions, we're not gonna and again, it sounds like because these are like really strict rules. We're not like vetoing plates on portion sizes, but you may get some feedback on just acknowledging that like, hey, that's probably actually 3 serving sizes of fat. And so it's okay that you've been doing that. I like it. It's also one of those things where you kind of have to see where you're at. Like if you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm losing weight, but now I haven't been losing weight for a while, but I'm eating these really good plates, it very well might be your portion sizes. And that's the first place I would go. I would say, okay, well, this is really, 3 times the portion size of a healthy fat.
The
Thank
key
you.
to saving an avocado is no air. Air is the enemy of the avocado. That's what turns it brown. So cover it really carefully with plastic wrap. And then if it does get a little brown, you can actually just scrape off the brown layer on the top. It's very thin. It's just oxygen hitting
You can
fruit.
freeze avocados, just an FYI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody likes to
That's
waste.
awesome. Thank
avocados.
you.
Also, if you keep the pit in, it keeps it green too.
Totally.
This might not be a problem, but so this is our 4th. And when I was postpartum with him, the Fitme plates were a big thing, and we were doing the 100 plate challenge. And I became so, for lack of a better word, anal, that every plate and snack had to be a Fitme plate. And because I have disordered eating in my past. And so that was like, I used it as a good tool and then I turned it bad. So I had to back off a little bit. And so just be aware that, like Lauren says all the time, just because it's not a Fitme plate, it still can be healthy. And like these Fitme plates are super great tools. Like it's so easy when you meal prep or when you have food, you just look at your plate and you'd be like Christy's 1, 2, 3. But we can still make good things bad. And I don't know if anybody else is keen to that. I just felt like I had to say it because it happened so slyly, I guess. And then Rachel caught me.
Well, that's what you have a coach for.
Exactly.
We always say after the Sunday call, what are you supposed to do? It's like, have a conversation with your coach, because this is a place for you where you're like, you get very specific about stuff and you take it to that place Well, then talk to your coach about that so that they have that in mind. If this is brand new for you and you're not even someone who eats vegetables yet, then guess what? If you want to sprinkle some cheese on your broccoli, I'm down. Have a conversation with your coach. It's always about meeting you where you are at. And so wherever that is, that's where we're meeting you. And then we're going to take you and push you just a little bit and help you elevate what you're doing and make even better choices and learn more, and become more empowered around food. And again, the reason for this tool and play in this game is so that you have this tool in your toolbox, not so that you can take your hammer and like pitch it through a window. Like, it's just a tool, but this one in particular is one a lot of people are missing. A lot of people are missing this tool and they don't know how to build a basic healthy meal. And it for so many reasons, it's problematic, especially when your goal is weight loss or feeling healthy or having energy. Without knowing how to build a balanced plate, you're not on a stable foundation. But like Amy said, it's really important to know where you're at and to know that just because it's like not like perfect, there's no perfect. It's just a game so that we can learn about food.
So can we even count snacks as like a Fitme plate? Like, it doesn't have to be an official like meal plate. It can just be like some grapes, like a slice of ham, and
yes, I would love you to do that.
An apple or something like that, to be like, oh, okay, if nothing else, that's my Fitme plate.
Yes, I would love for you to do that, because in fact, snacks are super hard for people. And whenever everybody's like, what do I snack on? I'm like, mini Fitme plates. And everybody's like, why? And I'm like, oh, if you just use the same formula, you get a really balanced snack, and it's the same thing. So I would love for you to do that, Sarah. That would be great. And it's a great practice tool for everybody. By all means, count those.
Hey, Christy.
Yes.
I have a question, especially coming from like my macro counting brain.
Yes.
So for me, when I'm constructing my Fitme plates, because like, maybe I'll roast my broccoli with oil, and then I know that my chicken thigh has about 7 grams of fat. I don't add fat to my plate, do I?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's totally fine. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're cooking your veggies in oil, that can count as a healthy fat, and it should count. And if you are, in certain meats have more fat than others, and if you are aware of that, that's totally great to count that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yep. Is another good, it goes the other way too. It's another really good sanity check tool. Like I was talking about with portion sizes, like on the avocado, is if you're like, I'm doing these and I feel like this is right, but I'm not making any progress on my weight. There might be places that you're not realizing that you're overdoing it on portion sizes. So for example, like if you cook everything in oil, but you're not really thinking about that adds quite a few calories to your day. And so again, just sanity check with your coach. If you are stuck, definitely ask. And it's just a quick troubleshoot.
Christy, I just have one quick question.
Yeah.
Are there any breads that would qualify for a Fitme plate? Like if we were to make our own bread, would that qualify, or are all breads? So I'm really jonesing for some toast.
Here's
So
what I would say. Breads won't count for the challenge, but doesn't mean you can't have some toast. Like, by all means, make homemade bread and have some really good toast. And then for your next meal, switch it up and get a different carb source, like to count for the plate. There's nothing wrong with having bread from time to time. But again, this is the reason why we kind of push for the challenge of not going with bread, is because bread is a super easy default. If you let me have bread as my carb source, I would have it at every single meal. I'd make a piece of toast and put it on every single plate.
So I have another question, and I might be overthinking it, but is there like a ratio? If there's like, let's say with Greek yogurt, is there a ratio that we should look at when we're looking at the back to go, is this a protein? Is this a carb? Is this a fat? Like, is there a particular type of ratio where we can take something that's kind of gray and be like, oh, this would be here?
Mm-hmm. So if this is over your head, just cover your ears. This is based on the macros of what's inside. So say, for example, you said, hey, I want to have hummus, right? Is hummus a protein or a fat? They're both in there. In fact, there's carbs in there too. But if you flip it over and you look, and maybe it has 4 grams of protein, but it has 9 grams of fat. For me, a serving of protein, a ballpark serving is approximately 20 grams. This is very ballpark. So, I mean, it's different from person to person, but let's just say ballpark. So in order for you to get a serving of protein out of that hummus, you'd probably need to eat like 800 or 900 calories of hummus for it to be a protein serving. So it's not a great source of protein, even though it includes protein in it. I would count it as a fat. And so that's just a ballpark. Again, like really ballpark. Ask your coach if you're like, I'm really not sure, but that's what you would kind of look and see. Like, and it's great to flip over labels. That's why, like, in your first 12 weeks, that's one of the things we talk about is flip over everything that you eat and take a look and see what's in there. And again, Sarah, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Somebody else had a question, right, when Sarah asked.
I did. This is Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. I just had a quick question. Like this morning, I was making a bean. It was kind of like it was for, gosh, what are they called? Taquitos, but it's like a vegetarian with beans and chilies, onions, bell peppers, and salsa. And that was on a tortilla shell. And I couldn't really understand whether the tortilla shell would be like a okay thing to have or not. And I put it on a bed of spinach with a side of bacon. So I had some meat with it.
I love that you shared it, because to me, it looks like because I looked at your plate, it looked like a really great, like healthy plate. I wouldn't count it for a challenge, but do you mean just like in general? Is tortilla a good choice? Right. I don't think that corn tortillas are necessarily a bad choice at all. I mean, if you tolerate corn, it's fine.
Mine was a flour tortilla.
Same thing. If you tolerate gluten, there's no reason that a tortilla is not okay. Like as a carb choice, just in general, even though it's not like a part of the challenge, there's no reason that that's not a really good choice. And I love what you made. There's so many good nutrients in there. It looked amazing. Side note, I wouldn't count bacon as a meat though. Bacon's a fat.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another good one. If you flip it over, you'd be like, hey, I'd have to eat a ton of this to get protein. I mean, there's protein in there, but it's way more fat.
So would the kidney beans be considered a good protein? I know you just said something about beans and saying that you'd have to eat a lot of
if you're plant-based, then beans can be a good source for protein, even though they're a mixture for sure. They have they're good for fiber and they've got carbs in them too. Just careful with the portion sizes on those too.
Well, it's the only thing that I just had a question, because I do like one day out of the week, I do one meatless day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So that's my meatless day. That's okay then for that particular day?
It looked really good. It looked really, really good.
Yeah, it was nice.
And like I said, just because it doesn't like fit the exact box of the challenge doesn't mean it's not a great choice. It looked like a really healthy, balanced meal. And at the end of the day, guys, if you're making food at home and putting thought and intention into the ingredients, 9 times out of 10, you're on the right track. Like you're already doing something awesome for yourself.
I had a question, Christy.
Yes, Nikki. I love that you're walking.
I know. I was trying to multitask. I was just harking back to a couple weeks ago when we were talking about protein intake. And you were just sort of, we were just talking about like what a basic Fitme plate is, around 20-25 grams of protein. How do you recommend trying to get the right amount of protein, but still sticking to Fitme plates? Like, do you have any good tips on that? Is it just adding more protein in your snacks, or?
Yep, that's the way I would go. And so if you're trying to hit, you know, especially if you're lifting a lot of weights and you want to get extra protein in your day or exercising a lot, I would definitely add them to snacks, or maybe bump that up on the higher end, you know, shoot for more like minimum of 25 on your plate.
Okay, because it's like, if you know, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of Fitme plates, but I want to get more protein in, but but still stay within the Fitme plate, configuration. So
I would just
I'm
go
just
a little
curious.
larger on your protein
Okay.
portions. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, really good question. These are such good questions, guys. I love talking about food this way, like learning about it, getting excited about what to make. And at the end of the day, the learning process is the whole point, and just pushing yourself a little bit and learning something new. And so, all coaches are always going to be here to encourage you, to help you, to give you more information. And so don't be afraid to ask, and post a plate. If no matter what, you feel free to post it so that you can get encouragement and feedback, especially if you're proud of it. There's a no mean girl zone. You will never get negative. It'll always be positive, how to improve it, and positive, because that's what we're about. Does anybody have anything else before we wrap up? I want to take a quick pic with my black eye. Got to do two, because we've got 2 screens worth of people. So turn your face on real fast. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. And then we got to do one more. Hang on. A second. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, have a fantastic day. I will talk to you guys later, and I will see you all this week.